to do the watercoloring, woo, I used some Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. These are the colors that I used, and I will list them all on the blog post. But I ended up just buying the 36 color set, and that is more than enough colors for me. And I really like how these work, and I really enjoy using them. So that's another thing that I do use. So let's get started. The first thing I did was I wanted to take one of the pots and I put it on my acrylic stamp block, and then I just colored it in with the Zig marker. And it doesn't have to be real perfect, just so you can get the outline, because you're going to be using water to kind of make this darker. Let me turn it that way. So I wanted it, let's see, how did I do that one? Okay, I had it over here. I kind of wanted it right to the end. So I stamped that on there. It doesn't have to be a perfect stamp. No, it worked pretty good. And then I just use a baby wipe to kind of clean the stamp off. And get that taken off of there. The next thing I wanted to do was take the tree from the Hero Art set, plug it on there, and then what I did was I took the brown, colored in the tree trunk, and then I have two different greens, kind of a light green and then a little bit darker green. And so I took the light green and just colored all over this for my first impression. And then I wanted it over here. I pressed it down on there. And it didn't get real in some spots, but that's okay. It's we're going to redo this. We're going to stamp it again. I'm just going to take the brown off of there because I don't want any more tree trunk showing. So I got the brown off of there, but I do want more green. So I'm going to take the lighter green and kind of color this in again. And then I'm going to take some of the darker green and I'm just going to kind of just put some streaks in there. Remember, this is watercolor and watercolor paper, and we're going to use some water to kind of spread it around. So you don't need to get it in the same spot. You kind of want it blurry. So there's the second, and then I'll just put a little bit more on there just to get some wisps. So there's my tree, and I think that came up pretty good. It doesn't look like much yet, but once you add the watercolor to it, it's gonna really pop. Then what I wanted to do was take and put some grass down. So there was two stamps I used, both of these. I just put that on that one. I'm going to use some of the darker green, and you just put the ink right on the stamp and kind of just start kind of a couple of times so it gets lighter and lighter. And it comes out pretty good. And you can do this any which way you like. It's not very forgiving, and it doesn't, I'm not an artist, so I kind of just putz around with this and see how I like it when it comes up. So I'm going to use this stamp here and put a little bit more grass in there, and then I'm going to use a lighter color just to get just some different variation on the color. And then I want to stamp that up by the tree. Okay, now we can start adding some of the flowers. So I'm just going to use just the top portion of this stamp and first color in some of the red and kind of stamp that around a couple of times. And then clean that off. And then I'll use a little bit of purple. Twist the stamp around a little bit. To give it just a little different angle. What's nice about this technique is there's not any wrong way or right way to do this, and it kind of comes out whatever it feels like doing. So we've got it all stamped. Now what I like to do is put the sky in the background first. So I use some painter's tape and lining up the registration marks I made before to give me the frame. I'm going to tape it down so I can watercolor in a little bit of the sky. And making a little bit of a frame with it also. There we go. So take an acrylic block, spritz some water on it, and taking my marker off to the side there, put some blue down. I've got two watercolor brushes. One's a little bit shorter. I like that to use for painting the sky, putting the sky in. And get a little wet, dip it in the ink, and then start just kind of dabbing it in there. Get a little bit more color. And kind of just, you don't have to be too precise. Just kind of dab it around there, because we're going to go back in and watercolor or add water to the, like the green, the rest of the stamped stuff. And it's nice because there's just, you never know how it's going to come out. And I like that. Just kind of does its own thing. A little more blue ink. And like I said before, on the post I'll have what zig markers, colors that I used for this card. And I love being able to use stamps in a little bit different way than just using ink. And so there we go with that. I'm going to take the blue off of my acrylic block, and then I will remove the tape so I can start watercoloring, or applying water to the color I already have. So I'm just going to get my brush wet, kind of start in the corner, and I'm just going to do some little strokes. I get the ink to start moving around. And it can also kind of pounce some water here and there. Let's see, I need a little more water. And it starts to kind of have a mottled, hazy look to it, which I like. I'm gonna just do all the green here. I did try it with using just a spritzer and spraying over the whole stamp part, and it becomes much more faded, I guess. It doesn't have, it's not as well defined, and it does spread through the paper a little bit more. And I thought the look was really pretty too. That's the next card I'll make. I'll get some get the tree trunk here. And I'm going to start getting the bucket a little bit washed out there. And like I said, there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just kind of a nice little, I'm just going to kind of plunk some water around just to get the smushy effect. And that is a technical term. That me and my sister use quite a bit. And there you go. Looks pretty good. Now the next thing I did, when I finished this, I let it dry, but then I would back it against the purple and then add it to the card. And then also with the card, I took the B set and then kind of stamped around there, and then I did the "You Are So Sweet" sentiment. And I think it came out really cute. So I hope you like this technique enough to give it a try. It's pretty neat. A different way to use your stamps, which is always nice. So until next time, thank you for joining me and have a great week. See you later. Bye.